Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Laz, and today I want to talk to you about how to learn kanji, how exactly to learn kanji. But before we get into that, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and if you have any questions, please comment them down below. So, how should I learn kanji? That's the big question because in Japan they spend years studying the basic Joyo kanji, right? So it takes ages in Japan, but I have managed to back in my prime. I have managed to learn 1,000 Japanese kanji in about 40 days. Now the way I study right now, I did a little bit of a I changed it up a little bit since the last video. So the way I study now, I started going back again because I forgot a lot of them due to the method that I used and from because I took a break from Japanese while I was working on other stuff like my purpose. I'd like to talk about that a lot, right? So here's how exactly you're going to learn kanji. Okay, you're going to download a program called Anki, right? You're going to download a program called Anki, and then you're going to find a list uh, of kanji using the RTK method, remembering the kanji method. Okay, you're gonna find it on online. You can find a list, and then what you're going to do, because the RTK order is really, really, really good, because it first introduces the piece and then builds up on that piece, right? So when you learn a piece like the one for speaking, like first you learn that one, and then you go on and add all of the previous things you've learned. That's just an example. So you have those compound kanji. So you have one piece that you learn, and then you add all of the other pieces that you've learned before, and then you learn another piece, and so on and so on. So it's a very good method to learn kanji because it builds on itself. So now that you got Anki is a flashcard spaced repetition system. And what's spaced repetition? So it's kind of like having an annoying friend who's always there to remind you when you're about to forget something. He's always like nudging you. Except he doesn't go out of his way to nudge you. It's like whenever you see him, he nudges you. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna forget this. Did you forget about this?" So it spaces out the cards. It spaces out the cards in a way that just as you are about to forget the card, it shows you the card, right? And the intervals get longer and longer and longer if you successfully remembered it. So I have here my little kanji notebook. All right. What I want you to do is you have that list, you have Anki. Now it's time to make the cards. So when you're making the cards, make sure to think of a story. All right, it's called a mnemonic. So you think of a story behind the kanji. It can be whatever you want. The more obscene it is, the better, right? The more insane it is, the better. So you just think of a story for the kanji. For example, mm, let me think of some kanji I can give you a story for. Mm, like the kanji for thick. I love this story. So it's comprised of cliff. Okay, so it has one part which is cliff, the other part which is sun, and the third part which is child. Right. So the the story. I took it from Hasek's book, but I definitely recommend you to create your own story. But I took this one from remembering the kanji, and it's so funny to me that I can't seem to forget it. So you have a cliff and a sun and a child. Like the child is under the sun, and it's all under the cliff. So the story goes like when your parents are bad parents and they leave a child on a cliff under the scorching sun, the child is bound to develop a thick skin, and that's the kanji for thick. And now you're gonna know it. Now you're gonna remember it because it's a interesting story that explains the kanji. So I need you to write out a story for every single one of these kanji. Okay? You can download stories. Like you can get the Remembering the Kanji book and get the stories from there. But at some point, he stops giving you the stories. He just gives you the keywords and expects you to think of a story with that. And also, you can find like community made stories on Kanji Kohi. So you can download those stories. But I definitely, as I said, I definitely recommend you to write out all of your stories because it's going to be more memorable that way. So what I want you to do, I tried not doing this and it didn't work out so well. So what I want you to do is I want you to write all of them out from memory. Okay, so here's how that works. You're going to go open your kanji, open your Anki, get into your kanji deck, and you see the English keyword on the front. You see the English keyword on the front, and you have a story. So you don't look at the story unless you really, really need to, right? So you have the keyword and the hidden story, and on the other side you have the kanji. So when you see the keyword, when you see the meaning of the kanji in English, you can actually write it down. So that's what I do. I write down all of my kanji from memory. So these are all from memory, right? My handwriting is awful. Please ignore it, but it works. So these are all from memory, and you write them out from your memory, okay? And then if you are having a hard time, you look at the story. If you're not, you just say, hey, this card was good, and move on to the next one. I recommend doing about 10 cards, 10 to 15 cards like this per day, and you have about 3,000 to 2,500 or 3,000 kanji to learn. So it should take roughly about 3 to 6 months. And if you take it like super slow, which should take longer, but it doesn't matter. It's not a rush, and it's far better than the than the 3, 6, 9. I don't even remember how many years the Japanese take to learn all these kanji. So it's much easier this way. It's much faster, really. So that's what I have. So to recap, get the kanji order, get Anki, create stories for each kanji, write it down, and review. I tried not writing it down. I tried putting the kanji on the front and trying to guess what it is. And that worked to some extent, but then it all started getting jumbled up in my head and all started getting mixed up. So I went back to writing it down. That's my recommendation. That's what I recommend you do. And if you need further guidance and my Anki deck, you can go down in the description. I have a free framework. So the framework is completely free. You just go down there, take the framework, and you get my Anki deck as well, along with the framework. That's it for me for today. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, you do all the jazz, and that's it for me. See you guys.